had a brief stint abroad in the UK before he returned to join the faculty. He was one of the youngest professors of medicine in this institution, went on to become the head of the department until he superannuated in 2003. And then he continued to work till just a few weeks ago at Bharati Hospital. In a world where every one of us seeks an additional few sentences or few words before our degree and after our degree, in a world where everybody wishes to be a sub-specialist, Professor Pande is probably a quintessential physician whose knowledge could never be contained within the narrow demarcations of departments or subjects. Many people over the last few days on multiple social media platforms, and of course our own knowledge from gathering here, know that he was always the last word in any of our combined and grand rounds. And it didn't matter whether they were on medicine, surgery, telecommunication, Dr. Pande would always know enough and more than most people in that audience. He was a straightforward man, unbending, but always led by example. And we today join his wife, Dr. Pande, a gynecologist, and his son, Dr. Aman Pande, a pulmonary medicine physician at the Cleveland Clinic in the US, in mourning the passing of a true doyen. There are a number of things that can be said from his CV, but I'm sure that's not something that would like to be said today. Most of us know exactly what all he achieved in his time here. Before I invite comments or statements from other people, I would like to read a few of the messages that we received in the brief time that we sent out a request yesterday. The first is from Professors Robert and Suzanne Fletcher, former co-editors of the Annals of Internal Medicine and emeritus professors at the Harvard Medical School. I quote, "We first met Deptt Pande in 1988. He had come to the University of North Carolina for a year of study in the International Clinical Epidemiology Network, sponsored by the Rockefeller Foundation. It was easy to see that Deptt was extraordinary by any measure. He was already an accomplished pulmonologist, an outstanding teacher, investigator, and clinician, and was adding epidemiologic research methods to his repertoire. Shortly after he arrived, Deptt developed a lumbar disc disease with sciatica and was confined to bed. We brought him readings. In just a few days, he would finish textbooks meant to be read over a semester in a graduate course and then ask for more. We have remained friends over the years, getting together with Deptt, sometimes his wife, Dr. Pande, whenever we were in India. Deptt took us to the Taj Mahal, Red Fort, Raj Ghat, and the Patna Bird Sanctuary. Later, he arranged for our son and daughter-in-law to participate in clinical work at AIIMS while they were medical students. Deptt Pande lives on through many friends, colleagues, students, and patients his life has touched. Quote, end quote. Professor Y.K. Gupta, former Dean Academics and Head to the Department of Pharmacology at AIIMS New Delhi, has sent in these words. The legendary figure who diagnosed most difficult cases by his supreme clinical skills, sea of knowledge and humility. He came from a small town in UP, Shikohabad, the small town to which Professor P. Condolence also has roots. The place is my birthplace too. I always feel blessed to have this connection. In shock and grief, I pray for the peace of the great soul. From Dr. Kamalpreet Kochar, Professor of Physiology at AIIMS New Delhi. Quote, Professor J.N. Pande, in his academic, social, and personal life, embodied the values, ethics, and ethos of a true Amazonian. An excellent clinician, erudite scholar, able administrator, loving husband and father, he mentored and shaped careers of many students and faculty. We salute him and pledge to carry his cherished legacy in transcendental by being good teachers, healthcare providers, researchers, as well as socially responsible members of the AIIMS family. Respect and reverence. Quotes close. Dr. S.K. Maulik, Professor, Department of Pharmacology. I quote. I had the privilege of interacting with Professor J.N. Pande in MBBS integrated seminar on management of tuberculosis when I was an assistant professor. I will never forget his dedication and punctuality as a teacher. His lectures used to be so dynamic and engaging. Quotes close. I request people who would wish to speak to please come up to the microphone on the floor. We need to maintain some degree of social distancing, so we would request you to come and maintain distance if you would like to come up and speak at the microphone.
सर नमस्कार।
डॉक्टर पांडे के साथ मेरा बहुत क्लोज संपर्क रहा सर, और क्योंकि जिस कॉलेज में यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ नॉर्थ कैरोलिना चैपल में सर गए थे, उसके बाद ही मुझे भी सौभाग्य प्राप्त हुआ इंग्लैंड में ट्रेनिंग में, और फिर डॉक्टर AIIMS पांडे, तो टुगेदर वी फेल्ट सॉर्ट ऑफ लिंक। और जब भी मुझे कोई स्टैटिस्टिकल प्रॉब्लम या रिसर्च मेथोडोलॉजी में कोई प्रॉब्लम होती थी, सर के पास आते। सर वाज सो ओपन and he just knocked the door, sir, may I come in? And he'll never say no, even if he's busy as head of the department. And he was the director of the CEU at that time, till he retired. And he was ever so helpful. So the thing that I remember most, cherish most is कि सर के पास एक बहुत बड़ा प्रोजेक्ट आया, नेशनल हाउसहोल्ड सर्वे ऑफ प्रगति उसका। It was a big grant at that time, 45 lakhs from Ministry of Social Empowerment and 12.5 from United Nations Drug Control Program. So sir called me कि ये project आया है। So he was supposed to be PI. So he said कि ये तुम ही कर रहे हैं। मैंने कहा सर मैंने तो कोटी के बाहर कभी कदम नहीं रखा, कभी पब्लिक सर्विस कभी कुछ नहीं करा। उनका नहीं, हम गाइड करेंगे। And he sort of hand holding. And he allowed me to be the PI, and so such was his greatness, कि सच कितने महान थे कि जो उनको ऑनर मिला था वो उन्होंने मुझे अपने जूनियर्स को देते थे और हमेशा फॉरवर्ड रहते थे। And in those days, the CEU activity was very fruitful. Every Tuesday morning at 7:30 or 7:45 we'll be there, and he will give some topic for us to prepare and lecture. And it was always, he had such immense knowledge of mathematics, statistics, research methodology, everything remarkable. So I pay tribute to this great teacher.
Can I use the mic and address like this? Is it okay? Good morning. So department lost 3 stalwarts in last 1.5 years. We lost Professor J.S. Bajaj on 8th of January 2019. Then we lost Professor J.P. Wali on 3rd of February 2020. And Professor J.N. Pande. All these 3 names started from J. And Professor J.N. Pande we lost on 23rd of May 2020. Professor Pande lost us, he went peacefully while he was asleep. So these stalwarts have taught us so much, and their sanskars will always remain with us and will follow the path which they have shown us. Professor Pande, he was epitome of fairness. I mean, he was fair to all, whether it is patient, whether it is staff, whether it is student, or whether it is faculty, or his juniors or seniors. And he was, as has been said, he was always available. And he had his own elegant style, and this style was consistent. It was not 1 day, 2 days, it was consistent for so many years. And Madam is equally humble, she is equally gracious, probably they had some competition in between, who's humbler and all that. And she's recovering, she's fine, so that is another information we wanted to tell you. And as a teacher, also 2 words which can describe him is that he was simply genius. He was simple and he was genius. So whether it is teaching, whether it is research, or it is patient care. For his students, he was a fatherly figure or a friend, or maybe I will say both. So and see, so many tributes have come to him across the globe from his students, from his colleagues. So that speaks volume. And for patients, his patients loved him. He will come to OPD, he will come to hospital at 8 o'clock, maybe a little earlier. He will reach OPD on his OPD day at 8:30. He will call patients himself, and he will never see patients out of turn. All patients were VIPs to him, and no one was VIP. So that is the class which he lived with, and he showed us. What gave him thrill? Probably he had that analytical mind, and you know, this clinical epidemiology was his forte, which he used both for clinical care and teaching. And then he will do the stata, he will solve regression analysis himself, and then he will show his students. And that time he got the thrill. The moment he solves some complex problem, he will get thrilled, and then he will. So that sight we can't even forget. The kind of thrill. So he made our department and AIIMS, he showed the path that where we can live forever. So he lived for AIIMS forever. So we are here today to celebrate his life, and he's our light, and this light will remain lit forever, and with that light we will become better human beings. Thank you.
नमस्कार सर, मेरा संबंध प्रोफेसर जेएन पांडे साहब से 25 साल से रहा है. प्रोफेसर जेएन पांडे went to North Carolina Chapel Hill on Rockefeller Foundation Fellowship, I said in '88, and he created such impression there that, I mean, it was tremendous. When I went there, so the word is, I also went on the same fellowship. So when I went there, the word spread that Dr. Pande from AIIMS has come. So people started coming and seeing me, and they had same kind of hopes and expectations from me, but they were highly disappointed later. But he had really tremendous kind of thing. And the quality of excellent teacher is that he motivates others. Dr. J.N. Pande sir, he knew more biostatistics than any faculty in biostatistics department. And he was one of the 2-3 persons, whenever he had anything, I went to his office. I never allowed him to come to my office, sir, मैं आपके पास आऊँगा. So I went to his office, and there was a project, Narendra Bhatta, then Gautam Aliwalia, sir, they were doing on environmental air pollution. Good clinicians are those basically who are excellent in clinical thing. Of course, he was there, people knew him as second advice, third advice, that kind of gold standard in diagnosis. So he was equally concerned with public health. So one of the projects on air pollution, there was a data. So he called me, so I went to his office, and I did not know how to do analysis of environmental epidemiology times his analysis. He gave me 3 papers, you read this and do it. We did it together, and that was a paper which Supreme Court referred. And so simple example, somebody from internal medicine and his research can impact public health policy. So this was a kind of reputation for him. I traveled with him maybe I'll just take 2 minutes. I traveled with him maybe 5-6 countries, and I was very proud to be his attendant. I used to carry his suitcase because of his spinal problem. We never allowed him to carry his suitcase. We always made it a point that we look after him. Another example, we are coming from Mexico, one of the meeting. So we stayed in Los Angeles. There, about 15 of his students, they knew that he's in town, so they organized a dinner. And I could see everybody came with family, and they were talking not about anything current politics and all that. They were all talking about their days in AIIMS, theses, and those kinds of things. So we were very blessed to have a person like him, and we'll follow his teachings and his things. Thank you.
Professor Pande never actually taught me, but I learnt a lot just by observing him from time to time. The first time I realized the kind of respect Professor Pande commanded was when one of the batches of AIIMS interns decided to honor their favorite teachers, one for each subject. The function was held in this very auditorium. Professor Deptt, the then director, was giving his speech to start off the ceremonies. Professor Pande entered the auditorium halfway through the speech, and suddenly there was a consternation at the back of the auditorium. I turned back to see what was happening. As Professor Pande walked down the aisle, row after row of students stood up in respect until, totally oblivious of the director, the entire auditorium was on its feet. It was like I witnessed Moses parting the Red Sea on that day. What adulation! Professor Pande was not just a teacher, he was a rock star.
Apart from what has been said, Dr. Pande was a great human being, a liberal father, a loving husband, and a great AIIMSonian. He taught us so many values, which, as Dr. Vig alluded to, in transcendence, if we follow those sanskars, that ethos and those values, AIIMS will always be a better place. I had the good fortune to be associated with him because he was editor of the Annals of National Academy of Medical Sciences, and I was a junior editorial board member. And that is the time when I came to learn in close contact his qualities which make him a good doctor and a gentleman. And we were always inspired by Madam Deptt and a loving couple. And I was very young at that time when I came to know them at all the AIIMSonian get-togethers. He also was my doctor. I'd lost my mother. I was young, not even 30. I had 2 children and 3 younger sisters to whom I had to mother. And I was having some breathing problems, and he told me, yes, steroid inhaler. I said, no, we have just lost an aunt-in-law in the family who was on steroids, and when the crisis came, she couldn't be saved, and people said because she was on steroids. So he looked at me in the face and he said, okay, you are the physiologist, you do it your own way, koi mantra pado doxa. And that day, something clicked, and I've never had any kind of breathing problem, and I'm always inspired by him. And I don't know how many of such stories would be abounding in AIIMS. He was a true great human being. My homage.
very brief few words. I joined as a faculty in the year 99, and as all young faculties would have, we have all had our fears regarding the research we could initiate. In 2001, this Incline project came, which was a multi-centric project in 8 centers in the country. And it was meant to look at the clinical epidemiology of TB. I had gone to him with ideas of molecular epidemiology in TB. And what I just, it's difficult to actually forget the amount of support he gave. And I think that was the beginning. It was actually the first time molecular epidemiology in the country was studied in such a big way in all the 8 cities that were part of this multi-centric project. And what is most memorable about this great life is, he offered unending support to a person he did not know, to a person who was so junior, just because he thought the science could actually make a difference. And this project resulted in 12 publications. It lasted for the project was on only for 2 to 3 years, if we were able to publish 10 to 12, I forget the exact number, papers only on molecular epidemiology of tuberculosis in our country. So that, actually shows us how fair, like has been said, how loving, how supportive to even new but promising new science he was. So I would say we have lost somebody who could be actually addressed as the father of research in the institute. There may have been more people before him, but since I have been here 27 years, I would say I have yet to see another person to even match up to us.
My interaction with Dr. Pande was very, very distinct, and in one occasion I remember very clearly. We used to attend, I am one of the faculty who regularly attends the CCR in CCR, so he used to be always there, so always giving his very incisive comments and very nice. In one of these March 1990, one friend of the then director came for a bone scan in our department. I had just joined as a senior student. So Dr. Gopinathan Nair was the professor head at that time, and Dr. Pande was associate professor. So they have seen this scan and they told it is a metastasis. So when this message came to the director, so she asked Dr. Pande to have a look at the scan and came to the department. And all 3 of us were standing there, and after they left, he asked me, "Young man, what's your opinion about this scan? Do you think it is metastasis?" I told him, "Sir, if you follow by the rule of the thumb, if there is any symmetrical lesion, it is not metastasis." Then he looked at me and asked, "Can you prove or disprove?" I told him, "Sir, he is a policeman, he is IPS officer, definitely got X-rays regularly. Can you get the old X-rays?" So after 1 hour, he called me to his office. I went there, and he had a big box full of X-rays, and the same lesion was there for last 30 years. And from that day onwards, anytime he has got any problem, he will always call me and ask me what is your opinion about it. And even few weeks back, or he was in Sitaram, and he always have got, if he has got some, do not agree with the diagnosis or given, he always consults us. And imagine when there was some senior people and maybe a young person there, and he gives so much respect, that shows how much he is concerned about his patient. And that's what is the greatness of a clinician. A clinician is one who always interested to learn, and that's what he is the epitome of that. He is continuously learning, he is continuously learning, and any time, any topic you talk, you tell, okay, you go and read this Lancet paper in this year, and you can exactly find your answer there. So that's the type of clinician we had at the institute, and with the years, I know, like any institution has got a crescendo and then there is a plateau, and So the level of people we had at Institute were like epitomes. They themselves have created this, and what we are enjoying today, the glory, is because our forefathers, our founder fathers have given us such tremendous quality of information, quality of human being, quality as physicians, as researchers, remarkable. And we should all follow their footsteps. And this is my homage to Dr. Pande.
For me, the passing away of Dr. Pande is actually like a great personal loss. I have known Dr. Pande since childhood, and that's basically because he used to be my dad's favorite student, and often he would come home on weekends, and they would sit together and discuss a lot of things at that point in time. This was in various houses in the campus. We went through C210, C27, C16, and what I remember as a child was that when he used to come in on some Sundays, they would sit together, and we had this old tape recorder, this Grundig one, and they would listen to the radio and record some songs. That was our favorite singer at that point in time, K.L. Sehgal. And I could never figure out what they sort of liked in those songs, but we have sort of spools and spools of our old songs recorded through the radio of K.L. Sehgal, which Dr. Pande and my dad at that time would record and then listen during the weekend. That's when I first met Professor J. M. Pande. Then my second interaction, that I remember, is when I was doing my DM in pulmonary medicine. As a part of DM in EGI, we used to come to other institutes as a training process. And I came to AIIMS for quite some time here, for a few weeks as part of the DM training program. And I spent time in the respiratory lab. Dr. Pande would come there every day in the afternoon. And he would really discuss pulmonary physiology in such a manner that I really fell in love with respiratory physiology. Whether we were discussing airway resistance, compliance, Boyle's law, or the basic mechanism of the body box. And I also realized that there was, to some extent, a hidden engineer in him, because he would be very keen on looking at devices, seeing how they function, opening it up, and then at that time we had in that lab an old bird's respirator, which was the green colored traditional ventilator, and at times he would sort of look at its functioning and open it up and see how it works. But that is the time when I really realized the fun of respiratory or pulmonary physiology, and it was something that I noticed that Dr. Pande had actually mastered. I joined AIIMS subsequently, and when I joined the Department of Medicine as a faculty, and I went and met him. He got up and said, "Let me show you the department," and he took me around, took me to all the labs, took me to the bronchoscopy room, which was at that time in the D2 ward, and introduced me to the entire staff, whether it be the staff of the respiratory lab, the bronchoscopy room, the ward sisters, and it made me feel as if I was part of the family. And this was the first day that I joined. That time when I joined, for many months, I did not have an office. And my office was actually either the duty room in the D2 ward or Dr. Pande's office. And his old office, I don't know how many of you remember that, which is now, I think, divided into porta cabinets, looked more like
sort of a lab rather than his office. It had instruments cluttered all over, books lying all over, and he would be more involved in encouraging people to do research rather than actually looking at it as a high-end office. That's where I met another person who was from pediatrics, as a matter of fact. He was working on lung surfactant, goat lung surfactant at that point in time, doing his thesis, and he would also come and sit in Dr. Pande's office. And I had a lot of discussion on him how he would extract surfactant from the goat lung which he would get from the INA market. And that was the research that he was actually involved in Dr. Pande's office. As a faculty, I used to attend his rounds regularly, and I learned a lot. He would sit by each patient's bedside, discuss the clinical features, do a detailed examination. And that was really when I learned a lot of clinical medicine by just attending his rounds. He personified what medicine was all about. He personified what research is all about and how clinicians can be excellent researchers because they know how to ask the right questions. And then if they have that research frame of mind, then they know how to really go out and answer that question. That is what he actually was as far as a researcher was concerned. But over and above that, he was a very humble human being. He was straightforward, lived a simple life, and did what he felt was right till the very end. I saw him last Tuesday, and I had requested him a number of times after that to get admitted, but he said, no, I'm all right. My saturation is okay, I'm feeling better, my fever is down, I'll isolate myself at home. He was there for a day in the new private ward, but then refused to stay on. So he lived his life on his own terms and departed on his own terms. But for AIIMS, it's a big loss. He and many of the stalwarts of his time is what AIIMS is all about. And the culture that we imbibe in AIIMS today is basically because of individuals like him, who actually gave everything, I would say their whole life, to building this institute to what it is today. And that is why I think AIIMS owes him a big debt. And for the contribution that he has made at AIIMS, we shall always be grateful. Thank you.
I request everybody to stand to observe a minute's silence. Thank you. Today we unfortunately remember one more member of the AIIMS family who left us by his downly abode as a victim of the corona pandemic 2 days ago. And I request Dr. Vijay Siddharth to tell us a little bit about Shubhyaraldi. Senior sanitation.
क्योंकि हमारे बीच हमारे प्रिय श्री हीरालाल जी, जो कि सैनिटरी सुपरवाइजर के पद पे कार्यरत थे, हमारे बीच नहीं है। श्री हीरालाल जी एम्स हॉस्पिटल में पोस्टेड थे और बहुत ही कर्मठ तरीके से अपनी ड्यूटियों का निवारण करते थे। जो लोग उन्हें जानते हैं, जो लोग नहीं जानते हैं, वह बहुत ही एक सादा जीवन जीने वाले, बहुत ही सरल किस्म के इंसान थे। और अपने मुझे नहीं लगता कि जितना टाइम मैंने एज ऑफिसर इंचार्ज काम किया है कि उनकी तरफ से कभी मुझे इस तरह की परेशानी आई हो या इस तरह का कोई किसी भी तरह की कोई दुविधा आई हो। वो हमेशा बहुत ही सरल तरीके से चीजों को सुलझाते थे। और 15 तारीख तक वो अस्पताल में काम करते रहे और उसके बाद वो घर गए तो उनको जब तकलीफ महसूस हुई तो अस्पताल में आके उन्होंने चेक कराया, शायद इमरजेंसी के थ्रू एडमिट हुए थे, फिर वेंटिलेटर पे चले गए और फिर 24 मई को ट्रॉमा सेंटर में उनका देहांत हो गया। ये काफी दुखद है और उनके जीवन से उनकी कार्यशैली से सारे जो हमारे कर्मचारी हैं उनको प्रेरणा लेनी चाहिए और उनसे सीख लेते हुए उनके अच्छे किए हुए कामों को आगे बढ़ाना चाहिए। मैं निवेदन करूंगा श्री मुंडा जी से, जो कि स्वच्छता अधिकारी हैं मेन अस्पताल के, कि उनके बारे में कुछ होते हैं।
नमस्कार। श्री हीरालाल के साथ में काफ़ी लंबे समय तक काम किया। वह बहुत ही गंभीर, सहनशील और उदार प्रवृत्ति के थे। अपनी ड्यूटी के प्रति बहुत ही ईमानदार रहते थे। वे मेहनती और मिलनसार होने के कारण सभी को प्रभावित कर लेते थे। स्वर्गीय हीरालाल लगभग 22 वर्ष की उम्र में एम्स में सफाई कर्मचारी के पद पर आए थे। बाद में 1988 में सुपरवाइजर बने और 2005 में सुपरवाइजर ग्रेड 1 बने। एक साल बाद 31 मई 2021 में वे रिटायर होने वाले थे, परंतु हर एक सावधानी बरतने के बावजूद इस महामारी से वे बच नहीं पाए और 24 मई 2020 को अपनी आखिरी सांस ली और इस दुनिया को छोड़कर चले गए। भगवान उनकी आत्मा को शांति प्रदान करे तथा उनके परिवार को इस दुखद समय में धैर्य और दुख से उबरने की शक्ति प्रदान करे।
मैं निवेदन करूंगा डॉक्टर डी.के. शर्मा चिकित्सा अधीक्षक महोदय से कि वह हीरालाल जी के बारे में।
और सभागार में उपस्थित सभी साथीगण, मैं आज बहुत दुखद हृदय से अपने साथी, अपने सहकर्मी श्री हीरालाल जी की असामयिक मृत्यु पर शोक संवेदना प्रकट करने के लिए आपके सम्मुख यहाँ पर हूँ। मैं श्री हीरालाल जी को पिछले 31 वर्ष से जानता था। जब से मैंने ड्यूटी ज्वाइन किया, वो सैनिटेशन से प्रोवाइडर थे। काफी अच्छे, मेहनती और अपने कर्तव्यनिष्ठ अधिकारी थे और अपने उनके सीनियर होते थे उस समय पर श्री समर्थन सिंह, श्री अजीत सिंह उनके बहुत ही प्रिय सुपरवाइजर्स में से एक होते थे। श्री हीरालाल जी की खास बात देखी कि जहां तक अधिकतर जो है ये कहा जाता है कि ग्रुप सी कर्मचारियों से काम तक ही काम कराया जा सकता है, श्री हीरालाल जी इसमें कुछ अलग विचार रखते थे। वो सबको प्यार से अपने साथ में लेकर मिलजुल कर काम करवाने का चेष्टा करते थे। और एक और उनकी खास बात है कि श्री हीरालाल जी साफ सफाई के लिए बहुत जागरूक थे और हमें जो पिछले इतने वर्षों से भारत पंथ का जो आवाज मिल रहा है उसमें श्री भीलानंद जी की भूमिका विशेष रूप से सराहनीय कही जाएगी। श्री भीलानंद जी जब से कोविड का प्रकोप हुआ था तब से जो है अपने साथियों के स्वास्थ्य के लिए और अपने स्वास्थ्य के लिए भी बहुत जागरूक थे। मैं शायद 15 दिन पहले ओपीडी एरिया में राउंड के लिए गया था, तो जब उनके ऑफिस में मैंने झांका तो वो पूरा ठीक से मास्क वास्क पहन के बैठे हुए थे, उन्होंने सैनिटाइजर रखा हुआ था। मुझे भी उन्होंने कहा कैसा सैनिटाइजर यूज कर लीजिए। तो इतना सब कुछ होने के बाद भी अनफॉर्चुनेटली उन्हें ये इंफेक्शन हो गया और तमाम देखभाल के बावजूद जैसे किसी किसी केस में ये बीमारी बहुत सीवियर हो जाती है तो उनको भी ये सीरियस हो गई और उन्होंने दम तोड़ दिया। मैं उनके दुखद निधन पर उनके परिवार को तथा एम्स परिवार को बहुत बहुत शोक संवेदनाएं प्रकट करता हूं। धन्यवाद।
मैं सभी से निवेदन करूंगा कि वह अपने स्थान पर खड़े होकर हीरालाल जी की याद में 1 मिनट का मौन रखें। धन्यवाद।
Thank you very much. Thank you.